Hi, I'm Lewis Kogan with Salt Lake City's Division of Trails and Natural Lands. Thanks for joining us today. I'm going to talk about how to identify, remove, and dispose of the invasive weed known as puncturevine, goathead, or Tribulus terrestris. Tribulus terrestris is a member of the caltrop family, and you might have heard the word caltrop before. It's actually the relatively ancient term used to describe a three-pronged or four-pronged bar of iron that was used as an anti-personnel weapon in military campaigns dating back to ancient Greece. Tribulus actually means three spike, and terrestris from the earth. And so Tribulus terrestris is a ground-growing plant, kind of grows like a vine along the ground, and it has these horrible little seed heads that form and break apart, and when they lay on the ground they always have one sharp hard spike pointing upwards, and if it grows anywhere near where you live, I'm sure that you've had an experience with it puncturing a bike tire, getting into your dog's paw, something like that. It's really problematic, especially along trails where people run, walk, or bike. So I'm standing here along the Jordan River Parkway Trail in Salt Lake City, and this is a pretty common place to have puncturevine infestations. Puncturevine likes to move into disturbed sites where a lot of the native vegetation has been replaced by annual grasses with shallow root systems, and it can grow pretty effectively. Luckily, one of the most effective ways to control puncturevine is simply by removing it by hand out of the ground and disposing of the plant and its seeds. So let's talk about first how to identify puncturevine. Come on in here. We have a puncturevine plant growing here right along the ground. This is a very common place to see it, growing right at the edge of a paved surface and then extending its vines out over that paved surface. Right now you can see this puncturevine plant is in flower, so it has these little yellow flowers on it, and then this very characteristic look where you can see there are usually these two little leaflets extending off from either side of the vine, and then each of these has a whole bunch of little subleaves coming off of it, so pretty characteristic look. There are a number of other species that can kind of masquerade as puncturevine. This is over here, it's called a crane's bill geranium, another weedy species, and it can also grow in a vine form, sending out little shoots that trail along the ground, but it has purple flowers. The leaves look quite a bit different. This is the leaf from the crane's bill geranium. This is the puncturevine. Look quite a bit different. And the seeds from the crane's bill geranium look like crane's bills. Whereas the seeds on the puncturevine look like this. So you have to usually, you flip the vine over and you will see the seed heads growing on the bottom. This is what the goathead or the puncturevine seed looks like, and these generally, as they mature, they will break apart. Let's see if I can get one off here. Now that this is young and pliable, but these will break off, and then they'll lay on the ground in such a way that there's always a hardened spike pointing upward, and as they dry out, those become extremely hard and will stab right through your bike tire rubber, your foot, your dog's paw. And these seeds are also virtually impossible to destroy with heat or chemicals, so it's best just to dispose of them in another way. So let's talk about how to remove puncturevine. A couple different techniques. First, we'll talk about removing it simply by hand. So one of the distinguishing characteristics of puncturevine is that all of the vines come together in a central knuckle or knot. The knot. Okay. So this is what the knuckle looks like. You can see all these different arms of the puncturevine are coming together at one point. That's really characteristic of the plant. One way to remove the plant, you can wear gloves or just do it with your bare hands, depending. Use your fingers to sweep all the arms together. Get your fingers under them so that you're holding all the arms and you're basically holding that knuckle. Get your fingers under the knuckle if you can, and then firmly but gently pull upward, and that will pull the taproot right out of the ground, and you'll get the entire plant with all the arms trailing behind. And as long as you're doing this, generally before about September, the seed heads should still be firmly attached to the plant and they'll come off with it. Another more effective way to pull is to get a hold of one of these weeding tools that has a hooked end with little prongs here. So it kind of looks like your standard dandelion puller, only it's got a hook at the end. So using this tool, again, the technique is just to get under the knuckle that we talked about before. So find the point where all of those, all the arms come together, simply hook it and then just firmly pull upward. And again, you'll just pull all the arms out of the ground. And with a tool like this, you can actually weed puncturevine very quickly and effectively and keep your hands out of the way of the spiny seeds. And you'll be surprised how quickly you can remove a large infestation working like this. Do not put this in your green waste or your compost because that can just later distribute the seed heads if that's going in any kind of a mulch or fertilizer. So you want to just put this either into a bucket or a thick contractor grade plastic bag and then dispose of them in your regular trash. Thanks for joining us today. I hope you found this video helpful, and to learn more about our puncturevine removal campaign in Salt Lake City, you can visit this website.